where I was this afternoon, and I just got off the radio with Catrice Barnes. We just did Something to Consider together, and Catrice is a multi-Emmy award-winning and Grammy nominee, so you can check that out at Something to Consider with Catrice Barnes. You can look on her Facebook, Catrice Barnes. And we're going to have here in a little bit, we're going to be joined by Heidi and Jenny Moonstone. I just sent them the invitations, and it's all subject to me getting off of that other show first. So they'll be joining us pretty quickly. And I did want to thank those of you that tuned in to the show this afternoon where we talked about, what's going on with the whole September 23 Revelation 12 craziness. I was a little turned up on that. I really feel, very strongly about that. And if I was a little bit too intense, I apologize for that. But that's kind of the way I am. And I just have to be who I am. I can't be fake. I can't be phony. And at the end of the day, all we really have is who we are. But you also have to remember at the end of the day that people are at different places on their journey. And you have to sometimes make more allowances than maybe sometimes I do. But I do have a real hard time when people are putting out information that's causing difficulty and causing hysteria and causing fear and causing worry and moving people out of a place of faith and into a place of fear and dread and worry. And we were just talking about on Catrice's show about how religion really does seek to divide and conquer. And that way it can keep people from being united. And that's not a new story, right? Even though I don't agree with the general interpretation of the Tower of Babel, the bottom line was that it was a time where humanity was divided and where humanity was not allowed to come together. And the same structure that was set up at the Tower of Babel is still in place today. And it's still trying to keep us from joining together as people. It's still trying to keep us from realizing that we're divine, that we're sovereign, that we're free. It's still trying to keep us in that whole sin, salvation, savior paradigm. You're filled with original sin. You got to have salvation. So you got to come to the people that have the only savior. And the whole thing changes when we realize we've got the spark of divinity within, not original sin. And we are able to become people that aren't bound anymore by someone else's rules and someone else's regulations or someone else's concepts of deity and divinity. And there's been over the years, there's been certain times and certain highlights in history and certain individuals that have arisen that seem to either look like great representatives or encapsulate this type of a spirit of individuality, the spirit of fun, and the spirit of self-expression. And Elvis Presley was one of those people. And actually, as we talk about popular culture, arguably Elvis Presley was maybe the first person to come about in American culture that was able to galvanize an entire generation of people on a national basis, galvanize them around the idea of individuality, galvanize them around the idea of really expressing themselves and not worrying about being different, not worrying about being unusual, but actually stepping outside of the dominant cultural paradigm. And Elvis Presley was probably the first person to lead a counter-cultural revolution. Now, with Elvis, it certainly was a peaceful coup. There wasn't anybody burning and looting. It was just people saying, you know what? We're stepping out of the world of Ozzy and Harriet, even though I'm sure that Ozzy and Harriet were very nice people. But it was time for people to come into a place of self-expression. It was time for people to come into a place where they could understand and realize that there was more to life than doing what you're told, more to life than doing what people tell you to do, and more to life than just following what's always been done. So I was at Graceland. I was at Graceland last week, and I got my Elvis Presley hat with the Elvis Presley autograph on it. And I was at Graceland, and I took this picture of Elvis's birth certificate. And as I took the picture of his birth certificate, I thought, what a great idea to have Heidi Vandenberg do Elvis's Vedic astrology. So I had, obviously his time of birth was on there, and he was born in Tupelo, Mississippi, on January 8th. And it was very nice to have someone like Heidi that I could call upon. And I sent Heidi his information, and I believe that she has done his chart. And I did send her the information. I'm pretty sure the invitation to this chat. So I expect her to be on presently, and she'll talk to us about the Vedic astrology of Elvis Presley. Now, it's my suspicion that Heidi, and then of course Heidi said, well, we could have Jenny on too, because of course Jenny does the tarot. So having the both of them, take a closer look at a guy like Elvis, I thought would be fascinating. And I've had the rather unique position and kind of surprising position of being able to, Heidi says she'll be there in a few minutes, the unique position of actually being and spending many, many hours and days and weeks with some of the closest confidants of Elvis Presley. Crazy story, weird story. I mean, how do these things happen to some, Southern hick from Clearwater, Florida? But I remember the day Elvis died, August 16th, 1977. I was on my way to football practice, and it came on the radio that Elvis Presley had died in Memphis, Tennessee. And I remember my dad just said, I'll be damned. Because my dad liked Elvis. He enjoyed his music. And to be frank with you, I knew who Elvis was, but I didn't really know anything about Elvis at that point in my life. So I'm like, okay, Elvis died. And then I went home that night, and I remember, Elvis handed my mom the scarf from his neck at a concert in the 1970s. Doc 64 says, that's amazing. And I'll steal it from your mom. Don't let her turn her back. But that night, they started playing all of the Elvis movies and playing all of the Elvis music. And it's strangely enough, August 16th, about 6 or 8 hours after Elvis died, is when I began to be an Elvis fan. And it wasn't long before my entire room was covered with Elvis posters, and you could always hear Elvis music coming from, my room. And my best friend Gary, who I just was up with in Nashville, he started doing it as well. Her Nana Magic's best friend fainted in class when she heard that he died. John Demas had the same experience that I did when Elvis died. And Gary, we would, we'd put on our leather jackets and we'd turn up our collars and, we'd sing it like, but Gary actually ended up becoming the best Elvis impersonator ever. And now they're called Elvis tribute artists. But Gary was the best Elvis impersonator, and he was the first one to ever work with Elvis's entire band. He had Elvis's entire concert band working with him. So I ended up I was born the day Elvis and Priscilla Presley got married, May 1st, 1967. How about that? That's Michelle Tarver. And so I ended up having, sitting around and hanging out with Charlie Hodge, who was Elvis's best friend from the Army years all the way through until the time that, Elvis died. And Charlie would sit there for hours and hours and hours and tell us stories about Elvis. And, Charlie lived at Graceland for 18 years. And if you go on the Graceland tour now, and I said this, and I saw one of the workers, they weren't real happy with me, but after you go through the house, they take you out back, and there's this building, and they call it Vernon's office. Well, it is Vernon's office, but there's a story behind that. That's where Charlie used to live. And Elvis told Charlie that he could live there at Graceland. Somebody said they just saw Elvis. Elvis told Charlie he could live at Graceland as long as he wanted to. But yeah, you like that Elvis hat? But after almost a year, Vernon unceremoniously threw Charlie out. So that place that you see at the Graceland tour that says Elvis's or Vernon's office, well, it was Charlie's house until Vernon threw him out. And Charlie lived there for 18 years. Charlie had a room in the other homes that Elvis and Priscilla owned. And Priscilla would decorate it, that room according to Charlie's taste. So Charlie was, you know, as close a friend as Elvis. And I've had just the crazy experience of being able to spend, you know, the equivalent of months with Charlie Hodge. So even though I never met Elvis, I arguably know as much about Elvis as anybody on the planet from an inside source. And not only that, we were able to spend, probably if you added up cumulatively, weeks with J.D. Sumner. He was the one with the real low voice in the J.D. Sumner and the Stamps. If you remember that song, Way On Down, that was J.D. Sumner. And he was with Elvis from the early 70s on through the end. So did anyone see the videos that Elvis recently died in his 80s? Yeah. So we spent weeks with JD, and he had some great stories as well about Elvis. And then I also struck up, independent of Gary, a relationship with Larry Geller, who's still alive. And Larry started off as the hair guy for Elvis, did Elvis's hair for the movies, for the concerts, for appearances. You know, for when he'd have people over to the house, Larry would do his hair and cut his hair, style his hair. But Larry ended up being his de facto guru. Larry's a very spiritual guy, and Elvis and Larry would talk spirituality. And it's funny, I remember one night, Charlie and I were sitting around with Gary, and I brought up Larry's name. And Charlie, he didn't really like Larry all that much. And he said, I'll never remember. And Charlie had the Southern drawl, and especially after he had a couple of whiskeys with him. L.A. Marzulli said Elvis is coming back on September 23rd. Oh, Gnostic spirit trying to push my buttons. L-A-Z-Y Marzulli. Can I say L.A. Cucaracha? But anyway, Charlie said, I'll never forget. I said to Elvis, why the hell is Larry always hanging around? And he said some words that I won't say, but you know, Elvis looked at Charlie and said, listen, man, I'll tell you why Larry's hanging around. Elvis said to him, most people are always looking for what they can get from Elvis Presley. And he looked at Charlie and said, Charlie, Larry Geller is one of the only people that's asking what can he give to Elvis Presley. And wow, Charlie said that, and I got in touch with Larry and told Larry that. Larry actually wept on the phone, and Larry was on my show a couple of times when we were on radio. And it's just amazing to have this guy, me, that never met Elvis, to have spent all this time with people that are, you know, the closest intimate people of Elvis, and to know more arguably about Elvis. You know, there's probably, you know, James Burton's still alive, the guitar player. L.A. Marzulli called me a troll for asking if he would debate Jeff. We'll keep asking him. You know, Jerry Sheff, another bass player, is still alive. I think Ronnie Tutt, the drummer, is still alive. So there's some people out there. Jimmy Velvet's still alive, who worked with Elvis a lot. There are some people that are still alive that knew Elvis and worked with Elvis. But, you know, outside of the people that have actually shook his hand and been in his presence, there's not many more people that know more about Elvis, thank you, Nana Magic, than Gary and I. And I wrote the book, Assault on Aquarius, which is my attempt to tell the story of what really happened to Elvis Presley. And it's my contention that Elvis was probably the first high-level target of MK Ultra, fear-based, you know, mind control, MK Ultra, you know, mind control and, you know, electronic, spiritual, even astral type of mind control. And the techniques that they perfected on Elvis Presley were then turned on Paul McCartney with the whole Paul is dead thing. Now, here's the Beatles. Yep, Divine Sovereign Free Will's ahead of me. And we're killing time waiting for Heidi and Jenny, but this is really good stuff, and this goes to it. And it's funny how things work together. I was just talking with Catrice Barnes on her on her radio show, and she's worked with Paul McCartney. And she says Paul's a dear man. Paul's a real guy. It's not a double. Fall is not in the house. And if you read my book, Assault on Aquarius, it shows that Paul McCartney was the victim of mind control, MK Ultra, Tavistock mind control that was used on Elvis, but the perfected version of it was applied onto Paul himself. And it is this mind control, and what I believe is actually temporal mind control. I believe they were warping McCartney across time and dimensions. And I don't know if McCartney was aware of it himself. I would love to talk to him. Freddie Prinze. Ed Brown, you son of a gun. Not my job, man. Not my job, man. Freddie Prinze, Chico and the Man. What a great show that was. And that's what caused the changes in McCartney that are inexplicable physically. Eyes don't go from light to dark. Excuse me, our eyes don't go from dark to light. Lips don't go from fat to thin. There were forensic changes in Paul McCartney from before 66 to after 66 that cannot be explained through normal physical means. And poor Michael Jackson, yeah. And for the people that are of the PID movement, and I had a real row with, I know her real name, but I don't want to say it. I'm trying to remember what her pen name is. She runs the Plastic Maca, M-A-C-A, Plastic Maca blog spot. And I can't think of her pen name right now. I don't want to say her real name because she's actually an attorney and quite an accomplished person. But we had a disagreement concerning my first book. She was going to publish it, so we had a falling out. But she had some great information. Oh, Heidi is here, and we're going to go right to Heidi here in just 1 second. And the changes from McCartney aren't because he was killed and replaced. The changes are because he was a subject of temporal mind control, and that was perfected by using it first on Elvis Presley. Let me go ahead and promote Heidi Vandenberg to panelist. And we should be joined presently by Heidi Vandenberg. Heidi, are you with us?
I'm here. Hold on.
Let's see if I've got Heidi muted. I probably do.
I can't start my video.
I don't have her muted.
You have to start my video.
Heidi, we can see you're there, but we can't see you and we can't hear you.
Okay, well, it says that you can't hear me?
This is the fun that we always have with Zoom.
So hold on, I gotta chat.
So Heidi, I'm gonna open up the chat. If something is wrong, just let me know. I'm just gonna tell you, can't see you. See your name. Can't hear you. You need to allow me. So how do I allow her? Panelist, Heidi Vandenberg. Heidi Vandenberg. So I unmuted her. More. Make host, forbid, remove. Heidi Vandenberg. Put on hold, remove, make host, mute chat. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, Heidi Vandenberg.
I'm going to call.
Isn't this fun?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Let me exit the full screen view. I'm going to. She's calling me on the phone. 1 second.
Oh, shit.
Call Heidi Vandenberg. Hello, Heidi.
Hey.
So tell me what I need to do as people are watching me not be able to do it.
Okay, go over to the name where it says panelist, and then can you see me? Isn't there a little video thing that says allow video?
Let's see. It says allow panelists to start video.
Yes.
I just clicked it. There you are.
Hey.
Can I hear you here?
Oh yeah, let me hang up. And then Jenny should be signing on any second.
I still can't hear you here. Do I have you muted?
Can you hear me?
No, I still can't hear you.
Oh man, you have to unmute me.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I cannot hear a word you're saying. What is it? What am I doing wrong over here?
You have to
allow panelists to start video, allow panelists to raise hand.
Okay.
It shows that, it doesn't show that you're muted. Are you muted on your end?
Hold on. Oh, this is great.
I swear this only happens when it's you, Heidi.
That's how I work. All right. So over to the right, do you see a unmute? Like there on my screen, you can unmute me.
On your screen, I'm hovering over your screen and I see where it says mute.
Then hit unmute and then hit mute.
Mute audio, stop video, pin video. So I just muted you. And I just hit unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
No.
Okay, hold on, let me try something. And this
unmute all. I just unmuted all.
Okay, can you hear me?
Only on the phone.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Now can you hear me? No, just on the phone.
No.
What the hell is going on? Should we just, oh shoot, hold on. Okay.
Can you folks hear me in the chat room? Can you hear me? Turn the sound up on your, oh, you know what? That's exactly right, because I had to turn down my sound for the show with Catrice. Holy crap. I'm so sorry, guys. Now we hear you perfectly, Heidi.
Good.
Is that a little dog?
Yeah, I'm my neighbor's dog.
You're watching your neighbor's dog.
Is she cute?
Is her name Elvis?
Joel.
Jewel.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know how you were able to even hear me, but how you like my Elvis hat?
I love it. You should see my hat I got. I probably shouldn't put it on.
Are you an Elvis fan, Heidi?
I know nothing about Elvis. I mean, I liked him. He was, I liked some of his songs, but I really didn't know much about him. I didn't really investigate him. So it's going to be, you know, I know he died young, obviously. I think from this, I mean, I didn't get too much time to spend on it, but I'm going to ask you, is it drugs? It looks like
this is perfect because I figured that you probably, because you're a young woman and, you know, Jenny also young, I figured you probably didn't know much about Elvis. And for me, that's perfect because you don't have any preconceived notions.
No. And I like him already because he's a Scorpio like me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, and I know a lot about him, so I can, you know, tell you if your impressions are correct. And did you really just ask me, was it drugs?
Yeah, I would guess it's drugs or somebody killed him.
Well, you know, there's a lot of conjecture about that, but Elvis actually had a ton of really, really bad physical maladies. In fact, he was walking around with a broken back. He was walking around with a deformed colon. He had glaucoma. He had several terrible diseases. And we have to admit that he also did abuse pharmaceuticals. So he actually died on the stool. He fell off, but it was undoubtedly pharmaceutically related. So really the idea is that Elvis did in fact die of a drug overdose, or at least a heart attack induced by a drug overdose. And let me just tell you the real story of what happened because Charlie was there. Elvis would get up and he would go to the bathroom, and he was usually so doped up that many times he would fall off the toilet and he would he'd be there on the rug. And his girlfriend at the time, what's that?
Who's Charlie?
Charlie Hodge is Elvis's best friend from the time he was in the Army through the day he died. So, and I've spent months with Charlie. So what was going on was, and this is firsthand information, maybe never even heard publicly before. Elvis was with a lady, and I won't say her name because I don't want to get sued, but word had gotten to her that Elvis was going to dump her. And he went into the bathroom. You know, he would sleep during the day typically, and they'd run around all night. and she heard him fall off the commode like he did a lot of times. And she would usually go in there to help him. But this time she knew he was going to dump her. So she's like, I'm not helping him. And the way he fell that time, he happened to have punctured a lung. He happened to have his face buried in the carpeting. So he actually died. And she thought he was just going to lay there and, and be passed out. So was she culpable? Was she negligent? I don't know. And she made a call to the National Enquirer before she made a call to the paramedics. So that's what really happened. So yes, Heidi, it was absolutely drugs. And did somebody kill him? I'm not saying that Elvis's girlfriend at the time killed him. I'm just telling you what the story is and how it happened.
Right. Well, I mean, that's definitely there. I mean, it's by friends, I would say even friends, like, or people in his networks, groups, things. So, because it's the 11th house, there's a connection with the 11th house, which is, it's also his older brother. Because I know he did have a twin brother that didn't make it. And I can see that from his chart.
Really? You see that in his chart?
Yeah. And I actually played around with it to do his twin brother's chart, but I didn't have enough time because this is where you can take a twin and you can break down their chart differently.
So Heidi, you're telling me that you can tell from Elvis Presley's Vedic astrology that he had a twin brother?
Yeah, you can see that he had issues with siblings, or maybe he had power stroke. I would say this, if it was a reading, I would say issues. I mean, I always try to make the best of it until I, scope around, because there's problems with networks, groups, people, hidden enemies. There's a lot of them. He's a Scorpio. He has karmic relationships. He's got Venus conjunct Rahu in the third house. Third house is siblings. That's also addictions. And I was going to show you his chart if you wanted to see it.
Okay. If you can show, I mean,
I can do that.
Okay.
We'll be good.
Well, let me tell you some things, Heidi, that speak to what you're talking about. You've probably never heard the term Memphis Mafia, right?
I have no idea what Memphis Mafia is.
Elvis had these guys that were hangers on. There's about 14 or 15 of them. And they were, just like they were his entourage. And again, this is so insightful, and it gives me chill bumps because it's almost scary. It's almost scary because Elvis died in August. In June, he was in Hawaii, and Larry Geller, who was his hairstylist and his spiritual guru. You got some bugs in there, Heidi?
Oh my gosh. I like the fruit flies popped in, and I let one too many in because I left the window open. And oh my gosh, they just decided to, I'm about to go crazy. I'm going to have to do like a bug extermination real soon.
So anyway, Elvis had made the decision in June that he was going to lay off almost all of Memphis Mafia. He was going to fire his manager, Colonel Parker. You may have heard of Colonel Parker. He was going to go back into serious acting movies, and he was going to, he had hired personal chefs and personal trainers, and he was going to get himself back into shape. But he didn't want to fire anyone until after Christmas. So Christmas never came, but the word was out, not only that the girlfriend was out, but a lot of the guys were out. So there has been conjecture that some of the guys were very upset. A few of them wrote some really bad books about him. So many people have conjectured that they may have, because these were the guys giving him the drugs for his, for his ailments.
There's definitely issues with friends.
Yeah.
Literally, like I would say that his networks, groups, and I wouldn't have said friends. I would have said networks, groups, circles. Mm-hmm. That's the house, the 11th house. He's got Mars there. And when he died from the moon, he also had serious depression, big time. Like, let's just say that poor guy had Saturn conjunct moon in the fourth house. That's somebody that is never happy. And, just a lot of Saturn is restrictions, delays. But when it's conjunct your moon, it can make somebody very, very depressed. And he was in a Saturn dasha when he died. Like, he had unfortunately, and then he had Venus conjunct Rahu, which is always searching for pleasure, so he definitely had that chart that why he was famous, why he had such a presence. You could see it all over the place, why he was a good singer. His second house has Sun and Mercury. Jenny just texted me and said she's like trying to get in here. So I was going to wait till she gets on, then I can share.
Yeah. Cause I only see 2 participants. Should I resend her the invitation?
No, she goes by the code, so I gave her the code.
Oh, okay. So she'll pop up here at some point and say, hey, let me in. Heidi, it's amazing to me that, you not knowing anything about Elvis, that you're able to just look at his chart and pick out all of these things. Why was he such a ladies' man? Why were women drawn to him?
Oh my God, because he had Venus. Well, first of all, Scorpios are very magnetic. They're shy. They don't say much. They're kind of quiet. But
how do we explain Heidi Vandenberg?
No, well, no. But I've got Mars and K2 in the first house. He has nothing in the first house. So he's very shy. I would say he was very introverted a little bit. And maybe he had, some issues. Like growing up, I'm sure was not easy for him. I mean, I guarantee you.
Heidi, when he was in high school, he was the kid that everybody beat up every day.
That's a Scorpio. That's a Scorpio karma right there. And then in addition, he had that Mars in the 11th. That's, friends, networks, groups. I mean, he had a rough so whatever he did, however he got out of that. And
let me ask you a question, Heidi. Is this in his chart? He would get his ass kicked every day because he would wear, a pink shirt and a black coat and white shoes. And they would beat his ass, but he'd wear the same pink shirt and black coat.
Scorpio. That's a Scorpio. That's how we are. I mean, that's get over it. And
but when people met Elvis, they were they're used to Elvis on stage, bigger than life, super magnetic. Mm-hmm. But when you met Elvis personally, he was very shy, very retiring, very humble. He would walk up to you and say, "Hello, I'm Elvis Presley." Like, we don't know who you are. You're the most famous man on the planet. But he was very, very shy, very, very humble individual right up till the day he died.
Yeah, and I would say that the only reason why he did what he did was almost like an in spite thing. So Scorpios have a lot of karma with relationships and just finding themselves. And when you go through that, you just kind of want to be successful just because you have such a traumatic experience, usually, whatever it might be and however it goes. You'll have a really traumatic upbringing typically, or problems in relationships. Honestly, maybe he had something going on with the mom. I don't know.
Heidi Vandenberg, that's amazing. Let me somebody, Crooked Finger LTD 79 with the classic Forrest Gump quote, "Must have been hard being a king." And, you mentioned the mom. You really don't know this. Are you playing me, Heidi Vandenberg?
No, I don't know. I swear. I don't know. I know nothing about Elvis besides he's a good singer and I know his songs. I know his songs.
His mother was his best friend. His mother was, they had this language, Heidi, they would talk that no one else knew. It was just them. It was like this gobbledygook, silly language.
Then she was overbearing as all could be.
He called her Satin. She was super overprotective.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, he was out on the road right after his first record, and their car heated up and caught fire. And he stopped to call his mom on the phone. She says, "Oh my God, are you dead in a fire?" So she was very, very intuitive and very, very psychic in regard to him. And she was super, super protective of him.
Yeah, protective, overbearing, something. I mean, but there.
Not to mention his brother died in childbirth. So.
Yeah, right. And then I would say, okay, Jenny's saying that her Wi-Fi isn't working.
Okay.
Somebody canceled it. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
she's going
through a couple weird things right now. So let's hopefully she gets it to work.
That'd be awesome if she did, but we can get together another time with Heidi. And Rex was threatening to maybe come in too. So, but he may be.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I should send him the.
Send him the code.
Can you fax him the code?
Mm-hmm.
Or text him the
fax
code.
Him? Yeah, I can fax it to him.
How about Elvis? You can fax him the.
God, we're the worst. I think. Today, it's you know what's funny? I get unsavvy with people that the charts will align for me to be unsavvy with. You're one of them, and Jenny's another one of them.
That's hilarious.
Uh-huh.
And interestingly enough, Heidi, I don't know if this shows up in his chart, but from everything I know about him and all the spiritual work I've done, I believe that MK Ultra Tavistock, they tried to attack Elvis. They got him drafted. They sent him to Germany, but he was. And they expected him to be a jerk so that all the kids loved him, the parents hated him, and they were going to put him in the army to make everybody hate him. But instead, he's a perfect soldier, perfect patriot, and it was backfiring on him. So what they did is they went after Gladys Presley, his mother. She went from healthy to dead of I believe it was liver disease within 6 months. And that
I'm going to say that, let's just say this.
Okay.
There are some secrets with kids, also some secrets with that mother, and that nobody will know.
Speculate, Heidi.
I'm just saying, I don't know what they are, but I'm just letting you know there's some sketchiness going on. Like when I said overbearing mother, there was some weird stuff that could have happened. And then he has Jupiter in the 12th house. He could have lost a child. It also is addictions. It's also people that can't sleep, people that have issues with addictions because they want to escape. Like they want to just get out of here. It also makes a good dancer, which is why he was a good dancer.
He was horrible insomniac.
Yeah. And anytime you have planets in the 12th house, you can't sleep. Hold on. Let me figure this out. I can only do one thing. I'm trying to multitask. So should I text it to him or email it to him? Right?
Just go ahead and either way, just so he gets
Is he on the chat?
Pardon?
Is he in the chat?
I don't see him in the chat. I'm not as good as you are though at looking at the chat and
I'm the worst. I'm not even looking at it now. Hold on.
In it. But it's so amazing, Heidi, that you can see these things in his chart, not knowing anything about him. So you think it's not just baseless speculation that his mother may have been attacked to get to him?
No, there's some sketchiness with the mom. That mom wasn't all a saint. I'll say that. Not even a little bit. I don't care what anybody says.
His mom wasn't a saint.
Yeah, there was something weird with that mom.
Are we hinting at sexual improprieties?
I mean, you never say never. I don't want to say that, but like, there's something weird there.
It was weird, very, very weird. I mean, Charlie Hodge's best friends, they literally had a language that they spoke to each other that nobody else understood. And
some people, there's some stuff like that happens, like it does.
And they were very touchy-feely. Most of us, I think, would consider the relationship inappropriate, even if it didn't go to.
Okay, and that's on. And she emotionally, I think, screwed him up.
No doubt.
Wait, Jenny's on.
Jenny is on.
Yeah.
But I don't.
So promote her. Oh gosh, here we go. Same thing you just did with me.
But she doesn't show up under panelists. Like, she's under attendees. Jenny's PC. Promote to panelists.
God, this is fun.
This is excellent. So, Mike, will she pop up in her own little window too?
Yeah.
There's Jenny's PC. So, what do I need to do to get her on again?
Okay.
There she is. Can we hear you, Jenny?
Hi. Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Hello. Thanks so much for joining us. This is a great time.
Yeah, sure. Totally. Thanks for I've been watching you guys for for like the past minute and a half.
We're uncovering Elvis's secrets.
I'm like talking to my screen, like, wait a second, hold on.
Jenny, what do you know about Elvis coming into this?
Well, the biggest thing that stands out to me is definitely the mother as well.
But I mean, not as a card reader, just as a woman. What do you know about Elvis?
Always, no, woman first, card reader second.
I'm saying, were you a fan? Did you know anything about him?
Well, I can't say that I've been particularly an Elvis fan, but my dad always was, and so grew up, listening to it, familiar with it. It was never quite my thing. I mean, Elvis is obviously very good looking in his younger years.
You're killing me, Jenny. I loved him in 70, 73, 74, 38 years old, the big sideburns, the long hair.
Well, let's talk about him. A Scorpio has a prominent chin. And they have really usually seductive eyes or something with their eyes. Like they're prominent. So, and he was good looking. I would say he was hot.
He was totally hot. But I wanted to tell you guys that the mother, there's a lot of weirdness. He had this obsession with virgins and he slept next to his mother for many, many years.
There we go.
When he was home, he would sleep with her. Yes.
That's freaking weird. I'm sorry, guys. That's weird.
Anyway. Well, there was a lot of emphasis on the thing that it wasn't sexual, that it was just a security thing. But we have to be careful with everything, that all the information that we get, because they don't tell us the entire truth. But Elvis, his thing with the virgins, he kind of had this obsession with the Virgin Mary, the Madonna kind of archetype, this purity, and it was very important to him that virginity was preserved, so much so that he married Priscilla and didn't sleep with her, only to conceive their child, and refused intimacy refused her for years and years and years. He saw her as more of a daughter, more of a.
Know that, Jenny? How did you know that?
Well, I did my research today.
Okay. Because there's very few people that know that. I mean, Charlie, who was Elvis's best friend, I spent many months with him. I don't know how much you heard, but Charlie, I mean, I hate, you don't want to speak ill of the dead, but the reality is that after a woman had a child, Elvis really didn't have much interest in her any longer.
Right.
Well, he could have not. I mean, he could have had sexuality issues. That's for sure. I mean, he could have totally been confused. Absolutely.
And let me share this with you. Not many people know this. Elvis, he grew up in the South. He grew up poor. He wasn't circumcised, and that was a real big issue for him. He really felt bad about that, embarrassed, even into his late age.
He should have met me because I like that. Sorry, I had to go there. I couldn't help it.
And I have to say this, Elvis would have loved you girls. There's no doubt about it.
I even have like my Elvis sleeves on.
Why do you think I like my Indian guys? Jenny, do you see we have a new friend?
I see. Hello.
Oh God, I know it just got bad. Sorry guys. I couldn't control it. It just came out when you said that.
Jenny, what would you say?
That just couldn't stop it.
That's all right. Jenny, what do you say to my assertion that Elvis's mother was attacked via MK Ultra Tavistock mind control to weaken Elvis?
Well, I would say that that's a definite possibility. It's even likely, but not just the mother, probably, himself.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at his associations, I mean, his only daughter went on to marry Michael Jackson.
Nicolas Cage.
Weird.
And Nicolas Cage, Hollywood royalty. These affiliations are very tight and they're very shady, to say the least. So that absolutely 100%. And also Elvis spent quite a bit of time in the military. So I think that he underwent all kinds of programming, and that is certainly what they do, is to compromise and weaken somebody that they consider a threat, or somebody that they would like to break psychologically in order to control them further as they take what's most important from them.
And not only was he in the military, but he was taken over to Germany, which is the headquarters of the MK Ultra and the Tavistock mind control hierarchy of that time. So he was very definitely subjected to the earliest forms. He was probably the first celebrity target of MK Ultra Tavistock mind control. What do you see anything in his cards, Jenny, that helps explain the drug addiction and the?
To be honest with you, I don't really need the cards to help me with that. It's kind of like how you guys were saying when I was sitting here watching you, but I wasn't on the panel yet. He had severe issues with sleep. And I remember listening to someone very close to him talking about him, that actually it was Priscilla. And she said that he would wake up with this crippling fear that since he woke up, he wasn't going to ever be able to go back to sleep. Uh-huh. And to me, that just screams fear-based mind control. And she talks about who he was before all of, the Hollywood debauchery and depravity took over. I feel that he was truly, in every sense of the word, an artist. And what do we know about artists? That's a psychological profile that lends itself fully to addiction of all kinds. And also, the mind control, it makes you so susceptible. He probably really wanted to please his handlers, really wanted to impress them, Well,
the thing that we have to realize is that Elvis was the first person that ever galvanized an entire generation. He led an entire generation of the very repressive 50s to the idea that you can express your individuality, that you can express your creativity, and you can do it without taking away from anybody else. He really was the be your own self, do your own thing, live and let live. We can be bigger than this. And he was the first person to break down the racial divide in the United States of America. And it was these reasons that they went after him full force.
I have to completely agree with you. But I tend to question this, whether they create somebody like Elvis for the purpose of introducing something new into the collective psyche and then destroying him in front of everybody's eyes to cause a level of trauma.
Explain that to me. Taking me another step.
Well, I mean, it's just a theory, but I'm full of those.
That's why you're on here.
Thanks. But I do tend to believe that when I say they, I mean the controlling factions, they're 10 steps ahead of us most of the time.
Yep.
And somebody like Elvis Presley, I think was he was trained, manipulated, bred and groomed for this, and then perhaps he was taken in that manner, kind of sent down that road so that the collective psyche would experience a trauma. People still in droves by the thousands show up to honor him. And
I was just at Elvis Week a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, he's such an integral part of, he's so anchored within the consciousness of the world that it does make you wonder, had he lived a different kind of life where he lived to a ripe old age, would he be the legend that he is? Did they birth him and bring him to us and then take him away for the sake of creating a movement? Did they design it? Is it all controlled opposition? I tend to think yes.
And Heidi, if you want to jump in, let me know. But let me make a point on that, because there's something that you two young girls probably don't even, you're not young girls. I'm 54. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But young ladies compared to me. And I'm guessing you probably don't understand that Elvis came out, the lovable rebel. He was the lovable rebel. He was James Dean and the Fonz, before the Fonz. And once they killed his mother, it knocked these spiritual legs out from underneath him. And he went from being this lovable rebel, do your own thing, self-empowerment, let's go. And he turned into this Hollywood puppet, this marionette that's singing to dogs and dolls. And I think, Jenny, to your point, it was a huge disappointment to an entire generation that this guy that they thought was going to lead them to the spiritual promised land turned out to be a bitch of the man.
Yeah.
He was very spiritual, though. Like at some point in his life, I'm going to tell you, he was a mystic, big time.
Yeah, he was.
That's the path he wanted. I can tell you that if he didn't have such trauma in his life, he's a lot of trauma. And it's funny, you guys bring it. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it.
Please do.
Hold on.
Jenny, I really appreciate you being here tonight. It's an honor and a privilege to have you, and you as well, Heidi. I think I told you before Jenny got here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing us on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is.
We don't see it yet, Heidi.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. It started raining here, and now my allergies are like kicking up, like not even okay.
Not to mention,
we're about to get the storm now. Did you see that we're getting it now? The hurricane.
Yeah, there's one forming in the Atlantic.
Jenny, you're not that far from me, right? I'm in Clearwater.
Oh, you're in Clearwater, Florida?
Yeah.
Get out.
Nope, I am. You're down Miami way, right?
I don't want to disclose my location.
Okay.
I might be in Clearwater soon, maybe one day.
That would be so cool. That really would be.
Jeff, I'm going to tell you the street my mom lives on, or that she has a house on, but I can't say it now because I don't even know it.
Okay.
But it's this weird, it's off of Belcher. That's because it's the worst name. I think that's the worst name for a street name.
She's probably 5 minutes from me.
Yeah. And then you go off of that road and go all these weird places.
But we don't want people going to your mom's house trying to.
Nobody lives there, so it's okay. It's good. All right. So this is his chart. You can see.
I shouldn't say where I live, Jenny. Getting death threats and all kinds of crazy things from these weird people in the world.
No, what is going on? There's some haters.
There are.
Do you get death threats?
I do.
Wow. I haven't gotten a death threat yet, so.
Well, you haven't gone after L.A. Marzulli either.
Who's that?
Is not a guy not worth talking about at this point. What are you looking at, Heidi?
Okay, so are you looking at my charts?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this is his rising sign, his ascendant. Okay, and
that's a Scorpio.
That's a SC in the first house, Scorpio. Then the second house. And how this works is, I would say it's probably good to go to my channel. I have a whole PowerPoint there. I think I sent it to you, Jeff.
You did.
But you can go around the boxes and, the second house, this is the second house. It's the speech. It's the throat, why he's a singer, right?
Yeah.
Third house, siblings, but it's also people that come out of the media, broadcasters, people that are just very, very talented. But there's also issues with that could be younger siblings or older siblings. It depends on which way it goes, but that's siblings. The third house is it's journalism, TV, publicity, it's stuff like that. The fourth house is homeland, home, mother, happiness, it's past rooted karma.
So Elvis was probably the first media star, really.
Well, and here, like, this is weird. It's kind of weird for me to do this because this is all my houses. Like, this is my chart in a way. And I have planets like in weird spots like he does. So I relate a lot to his chart. And certain things, like I can see totally we're off on certain things. Like he's got a lot of law and order. Venus and Rahu and Capricorn in the third house.
Heidi, Elvis was, and I've got a picture, I should have brought it. Elvis was he loved law enforcement. He wanted to be a cop.
Jailhouse Rock, that's a Scorpio with corrections. Like why Heidi wanted to be a correctional officer.
He had Hitler. He had Nixon. He had Nixon make him, an FBI agent. I took pictures. He has a huge collection of badges. He was, like you, very much into law enforcement.
That was his probably dream.
Yes, it was.
Literally to do stuff like that and investigate. Because Mars in the 11th house in Hasta, Virgo, no joke. Like this is detective city. Jupiter in the 12th, like he would have made a great politician. Like this is a politician's chart, but why I can see when you're starting to talk about the mind control and the politics, because everybody that is in politics that's in like the Democratic
a threat to them even politically.
Well, yeah, because we've got Uttara Shada Nakshatra. Like this is right here, government.
You muted. It looked like you were talking and I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so this is all government. These nakshatras that I use, all government. I mean, no joke. This is like about as government as it gets. Sun and Mercury in these two conjunctions. I mean, he wanted to be in the government.
Well, this is very confirming to me that the government was after him as well. Okay,
and then here we go with that. So the Vishakhas, the 12th house is his hidden enemies. It also can be your 12th house is, okay, this is what it is. Self-sacrifice, hospitals, jails, mysteries, hidden talents, imprisonment, expenses, losses, bed pleasure. Foreign.
Charitable giving is legendary. Cars, houses, money, rings, diamonds.
That's this Venus Rahu nonsense. This is more of the secret house.
All right.
Ashrams, yoga, meditation, foreign countries, foreign lands, photography, but it's also people that are in films and acting and people that are actors, dancers. Dancers is the feet because you're good with your feet.
You realize that Elvis was the highest paid, most popular actor in Hollywood for 8 years. He was getting $3 million a picture, more than anybody else for every picture. And the only sure thing in Hollywood was an Elvis Presley movie, even though they were stupid.
Yeah. I mean, this is all like, it's funny that we're saying this because I feel like I know him. Like, because I know his chart. I really do. And let me say this. Spouse, okay? There's something with a girlfriend that could have killed him too, for sure.
Well, like I said, the girlfriend that was there heard him fall and didn't go. If she had done what she always did, go and rolled him over and put him on his back, he would have lived through that night. But she chose not to do it because she was getting dumped. That's what I hear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think
it's like, what?
Maybe even a little more than that.
Well, yeah, we don't want to speculate and get sued or anything, but
well, I'm just saying if this is the chart, okay?
Right. Now he was hugely spiritual. Him and Larry Geller, who was the hair guy and the guru guy that I spent a lot of time with, they would stay up 3 or 4 days reading from all these different books of the Far East, the Bible. Elvis was hugely spiritual. In fact, there's a clip of him in a press conference. He's got a Star of David on. He's got a cross. He's got a crucifix. He's got some Indian symbols on. And somebody says, Elvis, what's with all these things? He says, well, I don't want to miss heaven on a technicality.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I'm going to read you his moon nakshatra, like my notes. So his moon is in the nakshatra of Satabisha. Satabisha is the 100 healers, addictive tendencies, big time. Okay. Satabisha is one of the nakshatras that is the most spiritual, though, mystical. It's the healers that cure it can cure incurable diseases, but that also means you have incurable disease, especially conjunct Saturn, Denise. That's like just depression known to man. That's serious all over.
Would it surprise you if I told you that Elvis actually did heal several people?
I bet he did. And I did it. He does it with his music because I know a lot of musicians that have their planets in this because music does heal people. And then another thing, it's a guitar because it's the hollow instrument. Okay, that's the Sadabisha can be the music things with like hollow things. So guitars or stuff like that.
Is there anything about martial arts in the chart?
That's Mars and Hasta, phenomenal boxer, and in Jesta. And he was a secret dancer. Like when he was younger, I guarantee you he danced. Jesta is like the best. They love boxing, kickboxing, and doing martial arts. I used to have a speed bag in my house.
Black belt.
What?
6th-degree black belt, Elvis Presley.
And no joke, I had used to have a speed bag. This is like secret stuff though. Like, no, you don't advertise this, right? But this is why we liked corrections, criminal justice, and those kind of things.
Jenny, what are you seeing?
Oh, I actually don't read this software, so.
But it looked like something was I could see your wheels turning. What were you thinking?
Just tracking what Heidi was saying because I think that's really cool. I definitely got that he had almost this shadow, this side of himself that he really only ever may have revealed to Priscilla, and maybe not even to the woman that came after her. And so I think Priscilla is probably one of the most valuable sources of insight into who this man really was. And what actually was coming to mind was a time that she described. They would go for days, sometimes weeks on end, being in like a cocoon-like state in the bedroom. He would black out the curtains, like black out the windows, and they'd have food brought into the room through the door, and he would keep it freezing cold. Yeah. And it's because that he needed to escape. He was obviously antisocial at times, and so I think that like the performance part may have been an altar. You know what I mean? It may have been, just another facet of him because the two are, there's just so many layers here. I think what that we're talking about when we're dealing with Elvis, He's
got a complicated chart. He's got a dicey chart.
Charlie Hodge said that Elvis would sit facing a wall with a light shining on him so he could see his shadow in profile. And he would talk to his shadow as if it was Jesse Guerin, the brother that died.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild. I was gonna say, I that's another thing. He's
that's interesting. So Rahu is an illusion. Oh my gosh, this is weird. Like this is like freaking me out right now.
And interestingly enough, Jenny, to your point, again, from Charlie Hodge, his best friend, he said that the woman, he did love Priscilla very much. She had a weird place in his life. Charlie says the woman that he really loved the most and that he thought was best for him was either Anne Margaret, who he had a relationship with, or Linda Thompson, his second longtime girlfriend, who was Miss Tennessee, who was strangely enough married to Bruce Jenner for a while.
I would love to see their birthdays. We should do those one time.
Yeah.
Linda Thompson and Bruce Jenner, or just Linda Thompson and Anne Margaret?
Not Bruce Jenner, Linda Thompson and his wives, like Elvis's wives, because
he only had one wife. That was Priscilla.
Okay.
And then after Priscilla, he had a very long relationship with Linda Thompson. And then his last girlfriend was a lady named Ginger Alden.
Wow.
I just don't like that name.
Yeah, she was very pretty. I'll say that for her.
I think Priscilla was beautiful.
Yeah.
When she was really young, she was she's just flawless.
So what happened with his kid? The Priscilla, that's
Lisa Marie, that's his daughter.
How was that relationship?
Between Elvis and Lisa Marie?
Yeah.
From what I know about it, it was a very close relationship. Lisa Marie, she had an inside view on a really, really strange world, and they doted on her, they loved her. Elvis was gone a lot, out on tour and whatnot.
Yeah, separation.
And Lisa has had many of the same, struggles that her father had in her adult life.
Yeah. I wanted to add also that with the whole twin thing and the one twin being dying at birth. Kind of MK Ultra 101 is the sooner you can inflict trauma, the better. In terms of creating an easily programmable and impressionable candidate, if you will.
You're saying they saw him coming from the word go, Jenny.
What's that? Oh yeah, I believe so. I believe so, because so many of these people that change the face of the world, I don't think that any of it is accidental.
Yeah.
But that's
Let me say this for Lisa Marie, since you asked, Heidi. I haven't met Lisa. I came within 30 seconds of meeting her, saw her walking away, but didn't meet her. But my buddy Gary worked with her in music, and she is one tough chick. She'd give you the shirt off her back. She's a great person, tough girl, tough as nails, kind of one of the guys, kind of maybe some would say foul mouth, but just a great girl, a very loving person. But like your father, she does, she has some struggles just like the rest of us, but a wonderful person from all accounts, a real genuine, loving person, but, maybe tough as an overprotective thing, and just, struggling like the rest of us with some issues.
Do you want to see what his chart was when he passed away?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wait, so I'm still sharing my screen? How did I
not?
Oh, I hate this Zoom. It's making me mad tonight. Hold on.
Just so everybody knows, I'm just totally sick. That's why I'm a little bit quiet. My voice is really mousy because I'm not usually like this. You guys know. And
you both kind of look like Priscilla, which is a little freaky.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Dark hair and dark eyes.
Yeah.
Priscilla had blue eyes.
She did have light eyes, but I mean, Heidi especially looks a lot like Priscilla.
You think? I don't even know what she looks like.
Well, look at some pictures of Priscilla in the early 60s, when they got married in 67. Look at some of those pictures.
I will. Okay. So maybe I have a connection to him.
You may, because you feel such an affinity. That's very interesting.
Well, he's just a Scorpio, and I just love my Scorpios.
Gotcha.
So wait, he passed away. The Wikipedia, is this right though? Because I always never know what to say with the Wikipedia. That's how I got that.
No, he actually died about 3:30 in the afternoon. Not 6.
He died that late in the afternoon. This day, was that the right day? And then Memphis.
August 16th. Charlie says it was about 3:34, 3:35 when they knew. That's not when he was pronounced dead, because they tried to revive him, but Charlie said he knew he was gone. He was blue. They just knew he was gone. 3:35, 3:34.
Okay, this is crazy for sure. So number 1, Neptune. We'll go with the outer planets a little bit, because this is his chart, exact day of death, exact time. Let me tell you, I swear to God, his friends killed him. Somebody killed, part of me thinks he died, somebody killed him, he was poisoned.
Let me say this. Every day he was given a packet of medication prescribed by a doctor. He did have a lot of real, true ailments. He wasn't the druggie that everybody wants to paint him. He did have a lot of ailments. And the thing that I've always asked, I asked Charlie Hodges a million times. Charlie didn't want to touch it. It was weird. But I said, Charlie, they gave him the same packet day after day after day after day. Why did one day it suddenly kill him?
There's some more to this story.
Heidi.
But here's the deal. It's real simple. Rahu is conjunct Mars in the 11th house of all of his friends. That's extreme networks, 11th house. Okay, 11th house. Gains, friends, networks, big inheritance, older siblings, loss of mother, fulfillment, big money, groups and friends, side ventures, winning. So when right now that this is one of his problem houses, when Rahu's conjunct there, Rahu takes things away. So he was having issues with the friends, groups, networks, Pluto.
And these guys were getting fired, Heidi. Remember, all these guys were getting fired and they knew it.
Somebody killed him. I can guarantee you somebody killed him. This was planned. There's no accident here. Seriously. And then 8th house, maybe that chick was part of the freaking scam. That girl, maybe she was part of it. The 8th house is death, women, friends, Jupiter, people.
Wow.
It's in
You're
the eighth
telling
house.
me women and friends are in his house of death.
Eighth of death, eighth house. This is the eighth house, Gemini, Venus, Jupiter. That's also, he could have had an affair, but in reality, endings, career change, sexual attractiveness, death, inheritance, sex, secrets, investigation.
Heidi, does Gemini have to do with duplicity?
Yeah, but this is just his eighth house. Period.
So his friends, the people that he thought were his friends, could have very well been his enemies.
He had a lot of enemies, no matter what, because he had Mars in the 11th, Jupiter in the 12th house, and Jupiter's like your gurus, people you look up to. That's in the 12th house. People he looked up to were his worst enemies.
Yeah.
And it's also friends.
He was going to be assassinated, Charlie said. He always knew.
Look, here's the deal. Somebody killed him. There is not one question in my mind that somebody killed him.
I 100% agree with you, Heidi. 100%.
And it's in his circles, and it's somebody he knew, and it's somebody that maybe had to do with women. And you can say that, yeah, it was addictions, blah, blah, blah. But like, we have his time. If we didn't know his time, we could go over to the moon and say, oh, Kate, okay, we could say Rahu, Mars in the 8th. Once again, confirming Rahu, Mars, somebody killed him, Rahu, Mars. And look at his ascendant. That's the 8th house. And his ascendant, well, we have his time. So we can just jump to what that 11th house is right there. Rahu, Mars. It's like so simple. Somebody killed him.
Yep.
So I just pulled 2 cards just now, and then I like put them back, and then I was like, no, wait a second. Those were exactly what I was feeling, and I just put them back. I didn't mean to, but it's the 2 of Wands, which is Mars. This is warlike energy, and in this context, I believe that this is betrayal, because this is 2. So this is like, there was a trust, there was a bond, there was this. It feels like betrayal, especially since it was coupled with the Hanged Man, which is about sacrifice and kind of throwing someone under the bus, throwing someone to the wolves, kind of just that energetic output, and then having it just be cut. So I think that you were onto something, because I was just kind of taking in your conversation, letting it kind of marinate in the cards, and then they came out. So I think you can. I think you could consider that validation.
And honest to God, because I do believe with this astrology, you can solve crimes. If you gave me somebody that was killed, right, just like this, and you gave me their time, and you gave me 2 suspects, I can tell you who killed them.
Yeah.
You have to know their time. You can't just give me their birthdays. It's got to be legit.
Yeah.
I remember Charlie saying, and something like this sticks in your mind. Charlie remembered it was 3:34.
Oh my God, that's weird that he says that. I mean, but I'm just gonna say, what's Charlie's birthday? Let's see him.
Right? Is he a lying sack of potatoes?
No, I don't remember Charlie's birthday. Let me pull it up right now.
Oh man, are you friends with Charlie?
Charlie's gone.
Oh, he's dead. Oh, okay. Well, then
Charlie was born December 14th, 1934.
Oh, geez.
In Decatur, Alabama.
Do you know his time?
I don't know his time.
Like the fact that he knows, maybe he was born at 3:34. Say it again.
December 14, 1934. I'm sure Charlie wasn't involved, Heidi. He was just a saint of a fellow.
Let's see. Let's see what happens with this. Okay. And what city? What did you say?
Decatur, Alabama.
Never even heard of this.
Which, interestingly enough, is where my mother was born.
Wow.
Why did I find that so easily?
Didn't he die on August 16th?
Elvis did. We're talking about Charlie Hodge now.
Well, right. No, that just kind of popped out because.
No.
What?
He did it.
You think Charlie did it?
He was part of this. He was part of this ensemble.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Were they the same age?
Elvis was born in 35. Let me just double check.
Oh man, this is like, I'm telling you, there was a power struggle between
Elvis was born 35.
Okay, there's a power struggle between these 2 guys, both of them.
Charlie and Elvis?
Big time.
Tell us why, Heidi.
Big time. Number 1, his K2, the K2s are on each other. Same nakshatra. K2, I'm not joking. Like there's some, he's part of this whole ensemble.
Well, it would make sense if he was that close to him.
Yes. And maybe it had to do with him being jealous over a woman. Because his Venus is in Mula, which he was obsessed with Sagittarius, and that's what he was in. Elvis could attract in the Sagittariuses. And I'm telling you, no joke, he had something to do with this.
We're on live radio right now. Let me ask you a question. This just came up. And this is the guy that Charlie was. This is the guy that knew. This is my buddy who's the Elvis impersonator who knew Charlie and JD and everybody. So we're doing this live radio show, Gary, and we're doing Elvis's Vedic astrology, and we end up pulling up Charlie's chart. Is there any way that Charlie was involved in the death of Elvis?
Or maybe the mom with this Charlie guy.
Or somebody in Charlie's family?
No, Charlie and Elvis's mom.
No.
Elvis's mom was dead very early.
Maybe it's a past life thing.
Yeah.
Heidi, stop it.
This is what, the lady that's pulling the charts is saying it looks like Charlie did it. I'm saying no way Charlie did it, but
there's a connection here for sure.
There's a connection with Charlie and the death.
He wasn't a saint. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just letting you know. It's the truth. You want to hear
this? Heidi's telling me something. Here's the connection. I don't know if I put you on speakerphone, I'm gonna see if they can hear you. Just a second. Go ahead and talk, Gary.
Well, the very simple connection is that Charlie was downstairs having coffee with Vernon when Ginger yelled downstairs, and Charlie ran upstairs with Joe Esposito, and Elvis was found face down on the floor with the carpet embedded in his face. He had been down for quite some time. They turned him over. When Charlie turned him over, Elvis left a breath, almost like a release, and it was just air that was trapped in his lungs. Elvis had been dead for probably over an hour, they think. And but as far as him being there in the house, he was there when he died, downstairs in the home and present. They heard him fall in the bathroom, but they thought it was him and Ginger upstairs. But when Ginger came down and got them, she just left Elvis in the bathroom.
Yeah, Ginger normally would have gone in there and got him up, but she knew she was getting dumped, right? So she said, "Let that fat fool lay there."
That's right.
Did Charlie like Ginger?
He tolerated her.
Oh, yeah.
Speak for no, he hated the bitch.
Well, he didn't like her at all.
Maybe that's what they want you to think.
Yeah, maybe, because I think there was something there. It's just when I look at this, it's kind of strange. I don't know. We'll never know. We don't know the time, so it doesn't matter.
Nobody was really a fan of Ginger. She was on her last legs with Elvis because
maybe it was her. I see women all over the map here. Women that could have done it.
Well, I mean, he was Elvis, for crying out loud.
It's been suspected for some time.
Did you hear that?
No,
Yeah.
what?
He said it's been suspected for some time that Ginger let him die. Gary, tell us who Ginger called first before she called the paramedics.
Well, they got the photographers and the National Enquirer had come to the gate and asked Vernon. They said, "Is it true that Elvis is dead?" And she had offered to sell the story prior to letting anybody downstairs know. She had just called downstairs when she heard the gate calling. And Elvis's uncle ran the front gate. So he called the house to find out what was going on. And by the time they had noticed...
Heidi almost had a kitten when you said that, Gary.
Yeah, she was... that's when she went downstairs and said something.
All right, you're off a speakerphone now. You don't think there's any way Charlie was involved at all?
They all were. They were all in. They were all were. That's
what I keep telling these girls, but they're saying the charts say that Charlie was involved.
They all were. All three of them.
Yeah. We need to get you on. We need to get you on this. We need to get together sometime and be on the show. You don't want to come on right now, do you? Okay. I'm going to send you a link to the show, and you can come on. All right. I'll send it over to your email right now.
This is hysterical.
What was so shocking to you about his cousin running the gate and Ginger calling the paramedics and the National Enquirer before she called?
Well,
what cars did you pull?
Okay, so, and that's what I wanted to talk about, was I very specifically was looking at the female that was present there, what her motives were, truly what her motives were. So we have the Five of Cups, the Queen of Swords, and we have the Law card. And the first thing is the Law card. And in her case, with the Five of Cups and the Queen of Swords, this was about her control. She lost control. And she was desperate for some kind of control. And the Queen of Swords is somebody who's void of emotion. She's a horrible enemy. She has a nasty streak, a real bad temper, and she's just ice cold. And the Five of Cups is disappointment. So this is, if she was really getting dumped, this simply confirms that she was in emotional distress.
Are you using the Toth deck there?
I am, yes. It's the only deck that I use. And then the Law card, really, that could really be kind of tying in all the authorities that got involved and like the severity of the situation, the fact that this was just, it ripped, shockwaves through the world. So this is about who he was, what it meant, what his death meant. But I do, and also the Priestess. And in this context, I think this is about secrets. This is about planning, premeditation, very calculated, very, a lot of intention, a lot of feminine.
Could Priscilla have been involved? Was she jealous?
I don't know.
Could Ginger been a plant from the government?
Oh, Heidi Vandenberg.
How about that one? Or from the uncle that was in the government. When you said that, that was like ding, 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 ding. I'm telling you, I can see this. So there's a lot more to this story, which is, I guarantee you, if we started investigating, we should go look at the FBI reports and see what it says, because it would be quite interesting to look at those FBI reports. I'm all about the FBI report.
Heidi, we should seriously do that. We should open up cold case files.
We should. And I this is what I like to do. So this could be something very interesting to do, because there's way more than what's going on than just.
Would it surprise you to know that Elvis hasn't left this plane yet and he's still hovering around that house?
No. There's fragments.
Elvis is probably sitting here right now, finally my shit's coming out. Finally.
It's funny because I tried to get this on. I tried to get on Coast to Coast with this. They've never told me no. They told me no about this because they just didn't want to do it. They already had somebody for Elvis's birthday. But Elvis, and I don't say stuff like this very often, Elvis did tell me that to get this story out because he needed to get this out so he could move on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I love him because he's a Scorpio.
Yeah.
Elvis?
Yeah. I love his chart. Great chart.
So you really think Charlie did it?
Charlie was in a conspiracy with this. Let's talk conspiracies. Charlie had an involvement to this. One of the friends that was a male. Okay. And now that we know Charlie was in the building, that's weird. That's number one. Two, we know that it's a female. Venus was in the 8th house.
Charlie was jealous of Elvis's ability to get women, and Charlie got his women because Elvis said you got to go through Charlie first.
Charlie has Sun and Mercury in Jesta, okay, which is not his. We don't know if that's his first house or not. Sun and Mercury in Jesta is freaking. Don't mess with that person. There's somebody that wants to be in control and wants to be the most powerful. Okay.
But Heidi, if he did it, he is the best covert agent ever because the man was an absolute joy and saint to be around.
I'm sure he was, because his moon was in Rev T like mine. He probably liked animals. He liked singing. He liked music. He loved it.
He was one of Elvis's singers.
Right. Okay. So here we go. But he had Sun and Mercury in Jesta. This guy was not what anybody thought.
But he lived at Graceland, Heidi. Do you understand that?
Oh my gosh. What?
He lived for 18 years at Graceland, and he had rooms in all of the houses that Elvis and Priscilla owned. Priscilla would decorate him according to his desires.
All right, there's some weird. This is getting weird. Okay, so now let's think about this. What did I say first? Sexuality things.
Are you telling me that Charlie and Priscilla were hooking up?
No, Charlie and Elvis.
Charlie and Elvis.
Oh God, oh God.
Charlie, Elvis. There's a big freaking ensemble here. Yes, but I'm serious. It could have been. Definitely could. That's definitely not out of the scope here.
Stranger things have happened and nothing shocks me.
Yeah, come on, guys. If they're into all this nonsense, that's
It's
weird.
hard for me. I got to tell you, this is hard for me.
Let's just first suck this up and say, number one, we know everybody's kind of saying he was a very sexual person. He was like, blah, blah, blah. Who has a friend living in the mansion with him and his wife? That's freaking weird. Sorry.
Well, Charlie had a house behind the mansion, but I mean, it was 10 feet away.
You said he had rooms.
Well, when they were in Palm Springs or in LA, he had a room in the house. Yeah, you're right.
All right. It's weird. Why does that guy have rooms with him? Like, that's strange.
Elvis didn't like to be alone. He always had people around.
I don't fall for that all the way. 100%.
No.
Okay.
I feel like somebody had like serious influence on Elvis himself. Like
His mother?
Well, no, like I just kind of got like this really crazy visual of him where he had like actual like strings, like attachments to him, like to his etheric body, and people
That would have been Colonel Parker in my estimation.
tugging at him. They have to be close because for some reason the proximity has a lot to do with the potency of the control. Like,
so it had to be somebody in the inner.
It's Charlie, guys. This is
That
simple.
sounds like Charlie.
This is Charlie. Charlie is part of this ensemble. Sorry, he is.
well,
How did he die?
I think Charlie just died of natural causes. He just had a heart attack.
How old was he?
Well, he was born in 1934. Let's see.
When did he die?
are we doing a whole show on Elvis?
Yes.
This is like the serious drama of Elvis. But I'm talking logistics, what I see. I don't know, like, and I'm just telling you what I'm looking at and saying what I would notice.
Charlie was born, as we said, December 14th, 1934, died March 3rd, 2006, at age 71 in Knoxville, Tennessee.
God, wouldn't that be crazy to just have one conversation? Somebody has to. There is something going on with Charlie.
And what else did you ask me about Charlie? You said, when did he die? You asked me another question that struck me, but it flew out of my mind.
I'm going to watch some documentaries on Elvis totally when we get off here because I feel like there's some clues. There's got to be.
What did he call his group, his entourage? They were the
Memphis Mafia.
Memphis Mafia. He pretty much like had like apparently he had to buy a lot of his friends. Like he was always working really hard to win people's approval, and gift giving was his love language, if that makes any sense. He bought people stuff, so he took, entertained everybody, bought them things. That was the way he kept his guys around.
And they were all about to get fired. Heidi, what were you rubbing hand face?
That's all this Mars, and this they killed him, guys. I'm sorry. Somebody that was his friends killed him.
I've always felt that, Heidi.
I'm telling you, this is no joke. And they might have used that woman as like a plant, or one of his friends were in love with him. And I don't know which one. It could have been a man. Could have been good old Charlie. I have a weird feeling. Charlie is not a saint at all.
Who is a saint? Like,
Charlie has some serious karma with this, though. Big time.
Wow.
Charlie is who I would say first.
That is amazing to me, Heidi, that you would say that. It really is. Wow. Jenny, do you have anything to add?
I do, but I mean,
I think I should
can see it banging around. I can see it running around behind your eyes. You got to say it.
Well, I wish I had something good. What is it? King of Cups. Okay. Yeah. Well, reversed. So, I mean, that just screams to me insecurity, because the cups is emotion. And if it's upright, this is somebody who's pretty dominant has control over their emotions. And what we understand about Elvis is that he didn't have that kind of control. I think he had a really sad inner world. He strikes me
on stage. Elvis's cups were full. Off stage, Elvis's cups were empty.
Empty, sure. Yeah.
That's that Moon Saturn. He actually rathered probably not to be here.
Yeah.
He was probably ready to move on from this place. Yeah, I don't think he was ever really happy.
No.
And he always felt like he was out of place.
Yes.
And the only time he ever was happy was when he was either on stage entertaining people or when he was giving away things to people.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, what the most basic urge that we have, one of our most basic drives is the sexual drive. And so you can learn a lot about somebody when you look at their sexual profile, if you will. And he had an obsession with virginity and childhood. Similar, it could almost be paralleled in a way to the way Michael Jackson, even in his adult years.
I was thinking that same thing. And why did Lisa marry Michael? You married somebody like your dad.
Right. Well, a really good example about of Elvis that I heard was like he was already in his like late 20s, and he would host parties for younger girls, younger women, not underage women. But the thing about these parties were that there was no alcohol, and it was like cookies and like soda. And
I don't know how you know these things. And they would all run around in their underwear. That was the big thing.
And so what he had was a kind of savior complex, and he needed a brood of women, a harem of virgins, you know, untainted virgins. And that was, but then I look at this kind of sexual, it's a little bit of a distal. I don't think that that's totally.
It has to do with the mother.
Yes, it does have to do with the mother.
I'm sorry, guys. It does. This man
was
corrupted by his mother.
Language. Yes, it absolutely does. I believe that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a complex over his mother.
Yeah.
So something weird happened with the mother, and nobody's gonna say it, but that's the goddamn truth. Sorry.
I don't think that there was sexual abuse. I think that the closeness and it was kind of dysfunctional. So I don't think that there was an incestual thing. I think it just made the wiring kind of back up a little bit.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
he made him depressed, though. Like
you say, yeah. Well, what happens is that the mind stays stuck in the state at the age that they were at when this trauma was most intense. So he stayed in a childlike state, probably very similar in a lot of ways to the way Michael Jackson did.
Yeah.
He was, you know, he was brutalized. Michael Jackson was brutalized. So what he had was something that manifested itself in a more extreme way.
Elvis didn't stay in that place, Jenny, but he would try to recreate that with his love interest.
Right. And so that is something, I don't know if that has anything to do with his death, but certainly I think it's indicative of some of the control constructs that went into the making of this man and you know, that part of his life.
Is there anything about firearms in his chart, Heidi?
Holly.
He was very much into motorcycles.
Oh, didn't he like shoot the TVs? He loved to shoot TVs. And I
got a picture of one of the TVs he shot.
That's his Scorpio. That's the Scorpio in him. Yeah, like
firepower.
I get that with him.
Who
like
that's love
all
fire.
that weird stuff.
Anything you want to tell us, Heidi?
No, we just keep it all. But it's all secrets, right? We have like a secret life. Him and I are very secretive. Nobody knows. Like you guys hear 1% of my freaking secrets, and I say a lot. So just imagine, right? And I'm not anything. I'm not like think of his level.
Mm-hmm.
Heidi knows my secrets.
And let me throw this monkey wrench in, and I know you ladies have to go, but Elvis figured out he had a moment of clarity in about 1967. He realized that he had been MK Ultra. He realized he'd been mind control zapped, and one day the Beatles came over to his house in Bel Air, California, and he told Paul, "They're coming after you, watch it." Lennon heard this, and Paul kind of laughed it off. But when Paul went through his MK Ultra mind control, John remembered what Elvis said, and that's why John was doing the Abbey Road and the Sgt. Pepper's and all that, trying to tell people that Paul was being messed with just like Elvis was, and still try to keep his neck attached to his head attached to his neck.
Wow. That's intense, and it makes perfect sense because we know these people became forces that changed the face of social, of culture and pop culture and music and psychology of the collective. They changed everything. So in a way, they're political.
What if Elvis had not sold out and gone into the movies? What if Elvis had not turned into the overweight drug abuser? What if Paul McCartney had not stopped making the high level frequency music that was lifting people up and started smoking or started taking LSD and started making the weird low frequency music? What would have happened if Elvis and the Beatles had been at the top of their game together at the same time? What would have happened spiritually and culturally to this nation?
Well, you know how that works is they guide humanity on a very particular planned out trajectory. They mess with timelines. This is what they do. How do they mess with timelines? It's far easier for them to invest lots of money, lots of energy into these focal figures, into these people that affect us so greatly on such a huge level. It just makes sense. It's, in a way, it's mass mind control. So they're extra mind control. They're the Manchurian, they're the candidates. And we, as the consumers, we just eat it up, and then it guides humanity along right on its trajectory that they've chosen for us, and we assimilate. But it's things like this where we work through it and we ask questions and we get to the bottom of it. And yeah.
Jenny Moonstone, I like you. And you didn't hear this before we came in. McCartney, I wrote a book about this. McCartney was actually subject to temporal mind control manipulation across timelines. That accounts for the inexplicable physical changes before 1966, after 1966. You hit the nail on the head without even hearing it. Amazing.
One thing I'm going to say, that all that mind control, that's Moon Saturn conjunct. I mean, that's Saturn is government. Saturn, I mean, whatever we can look at. Maybe the mom had a part of this.
Well, time travel too. Can we assess that if somebody's subjected to a very specific kind of mind control, and where they do use people, they meddle with timelines, and they only use certain people to do it. Could we assess that Saturn will, in some cases, represent time travel or time manipulation?
Saturn represents
the time lord.
Yeah, it's time. It's chronos, time. So absolutely, it can be time traveling for sure. If you want to look at it that way, that absolutely makes sense. And I will say, I got to say one thing. Everybody that is in the elites, minus Donald Trump, all has planets in this nakshatra.
Let me grab one thing, girls. I'll be right back.
These nakshatras and what this Aquarius is. It's all this Aquarius, Satabisha, Denista, Vishaka. Vishaka is in Libra. That's all the Comies. And I said this yesterday on our show, Jenny. The Comies, everybody, when I talked about this, they all have planets in this. So yeah, he was controlled by those same group.
Yeah, it's so weird, dude. Heidi, I really think that what we should do is find these cases where people die, or like whatever, there's mysterious circumstances, and we will try to find as much info about it as we can and do this.
Yeah.
That would be great for you guys.
I will say this, if anybody is like CIA, we need birth certificates. We need the birth certificate.
I'll show you guys this.
Oh, wait.
Really?
That's the impersonator?
No, that's Elvis, but that's just something they make at Graceland. It's
oh my God.
Oh my God. I was like,
that's so funny. That looks just like him.
That's so creepy. That's really cool though.
Is that a wax? Is that like a wax thing?
No, it's an actual picture of Elvis, and they just digitally drop you into it.
So that's so funny because I was at the White House. Well, I got a hat and I have a picture of me standing on the Congress podium. Like, it's just kind of funny that both of us same weekend or right around that same time we both had that.
Were you actually standing on the podium, or is it Photoshop?
No, it's Photoshop. Because I spend money in the gift shop. They're like, go down there and get this picture. And
but you have to pay for your picture.
No, because I spent money on hats. So I got
that was my next question. Did you buy the hat, or did they give it?
I had to pay $25 for the Elvis picture.
Oh my gosh!
I bought the hat for my son, but he said keep it. I know you like Elvis, so I don't usually wear hats, but
right. So $25 goes to what, Graceland, because they need it so bad?
Yeah, it's sad. I think Graceland has really taken the magic away. It's just sad what they're doing over there, but
oh, that's a shame.
It is a shame. So Heidi Vandenberg says that Charlie Hodge was involved in the killing of Elvis. Jenny Moonstone says there's something weird going on with his mom.
I said that first too.
And I'm just sitting here shocked. I can't believe it, but
Jenny and I always come to the same conclusions, different things. I mean, it never fails. Look, it never fails.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's just the way you chimed in right when I talked about the mother, and you were like, "Oh, there you are."
Oh God! Well, I was sitting here watching you guys, and I was like, "Oh, they're talking about her. They're talking about her." Like that. The big thing with Elvis is his mom. Like,
yep.
It's that she like looms over him from start to finish.
Jenny Moonstone, if people want to get work done by you, where do they go?
You can find me on Facebook, Jenny Moonstone, or you can go to my website. It's moonstonemusings.com, and I'm on channel 27 with Heidi like all the time now.
Musings, M-U-S-I-N-G-S?
Yeah, musings. You know, like a musing is like, you know, inspiration. I've had to explain that word.
Seriously, Jenny is spot on tarot readings. Like I will say, I've never had her been off on one little tiny thing.
No, it's almost unfortunate, right? Because like it's even when it's not good, it's not what you want to hear. It's always what it is. And that's the thing about
Jenny's far more intuitive with the cards than I am, and she's very good at it.
Thank you. Thank you guys. You're sweet.
Heidi Vandenberg, if someone wants to get life coaching or a person or a Vedic reading, how do they get from you?
They go to oneofakindbyheidi.org or go to channel 27, and all the links are all over the place.
Okay. So Heidi, you didn't know much about Elvis before you got into this. What are your thoughts about the man now?
Me?
Yes.
I
didn't call you the wrong name, did I?
No. I didn't hear you said, but I thought, I don't know. Like, I like him. I like him because he's a Scorpio. Scorpios are loyal. He was a loyal guy. He would have done anything for loyalty and, you know, just not to be lied to and not to be betrayed.
Quick story. Colonel Parker had an agreement with Elvis. He got 50% of everything Elvis ever made. At that time, the most an agent was ever getting was 20%. And everybody kept telling Elvis, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Elvis said, I made a handshake agreement with him in 1956. I'm not going to change it. And Elvis really thought if there wasn't a Colonel Parker, there never would have been an Elvis Presley. So he was loyal to a horrible fault. He should have never done it.
And that's the problem with Scorpios. Like, it's so true. I don't know what we did in a past life, but I'm telling you, it's really hard to say no to, like, you know, doing something like that. Like helping people and spending and paying for things and giving, like, you know, they're generous. And Jupiter in the 12th for him, that's about as generous as they get. That's somebody that just gives money to causes.
Heidi, like, can I borrow $50?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
Hey, Jeff, what do the rods say about whether or not Charlie Boy was involved?
You're not going to make me do that, are you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to make you, but
bring them out. Come on.
I'm not going to make you. You don't have to.
The ones I made or the ones I bought?
Your choice. Pick your weapon.
That's a great idea. Come on, Jeff. You have to be. Come on. You made us say all these crazy things. Bring out the stakes.
Wow.
The stakes. The rock. Oh my God. Oh.
So we're gonna ask these rods are we gonna say, was Charlie Hodge involved in the death of Elvis?
Yes.
Or wait, I have a better one. Start with this. Was Elvis murdered?
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good job. You know, these sometimes they're a little too light, so I'm gonna get the ones I made.
Lord mercy.
I don't get a false positive.
I don't get a false positive. Oh, this is so great.
Oh my goodness.
Let's ask.
Freddie, I feel like I live like
let's
you're
ask the expert.
Like I've seen you every day this week.
Was Elvis murdered?
Oh, Kitty, hi.
Was Elvis murdered, Rooney?
You have a strong
He
Mars.
said yes.
I have a strong what?
Mars.
Oh.
Because you like cats.
Oh, Kitty.
Well, you know my chart, so that's not fair.
Strong Mars.
All right, so was Elvis murdered? This is like the first time I've ever used these rods. So we
Now, like, clear your energy first or something.
I know.
No, that cat just gave it some good karma because Mars, Scorpio, that's good.
Take a deep breath, clear it out.
Okay.
Clear it out.
Okay, just so you guys may not watch this. Yes, no. Okay. So like we'll do this. Show me yes. Show me no. Okay. So was Elvis murdered?
What the?
Let's do it again. Was Elvis murdered?
That's yes.
That's a yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Was
God.
Elvis Presley murdered?
Simple, guys. The charts don't lie.
Oh my gosh. Now ask if Charlie was involved. That's why it's important. The murder
We
question.
got Charlie, we have Ginger. We need to know about Charlie and Ginger, both of
Oh
those.
my gosh, my pulse just.
I don't want to ask if Charlie was involved.
Why?
Have to.
I love
All
Charlie.
right, Chaz.
No, but listen, people will shock the crap out of you.
Yeah. Was Charlie Hodge involved in the death of Elvis?
Oh my God.
Charts don't lie. Charts
Let's do
don't
it
lie.
again. Was Charlie Hodge involved in the death of Elvis? But I mean, he was there.
Yeah, but
Okay.
involved is different than present.
Was he present? Ask about that Ginger too. Oh, ask if him and Charlie had a relationship.
Was Priscilla Presley involved in the death of Elvis?
I told you she wasn't.
No, we're like, no.
Oh
We
my
need
God.
Ginger.
Was Red West involved in the death of Elvis?
Chaz, it's Charlie all the way, man. Charlie. Ginger. Do Ginger too.
Ginger's still alive. Can we get in trouble for this?
Shoot.
No. This is
Screw
not
it. Let her.
admissible.
Then
This is
she-
not admissible. This is entertainment purposes
This is for
only.
entertainment purposes only.
Got it. You're good. You said it. You're good.
This is for entertainment purposes only.
Oh God.
It's all
Hope
a
she doesn't live
game.
in
It's a
Maryland.
mind game. We're not serious. There's entertainment purposes only. Was Ginger Alden involved in the death of Elvis Presley? Oh.
Okay, we'll just ask it once.
Was Ginger Alden involved in the death of Elvis Presley?
I think we solved a crime tonight, guys.
Well, we didn't. We don't have proof. But listen,
Spiritually solved. Elvis
There
is happy.
was-
You know he's doing it like the jailhouse rock right now, dude.
Was Vernon involved in the death of Elvis Presley? That's his dad. No.
of course not.
No.
It was that
Was
slut.
Joe
It was
Esposito
those two.
involved?
It has to do with Charlie and Ginger, Venus and Jupiter. I'm telling you guys, it's there. It's freaking there. It's there all over.
Okay, I made those wands. Maybe they're connected to me. Let's try the ones I bought.
Yeah, but you don't want that to be true. So if anything, they would reflect your intention. Those
Somebody
are
just said- there you go, Gary Baxter.
What's
That's
that?
Elvis taking care of business. He said something about TCB. TCB is taking care of business. That was Elvis.
well, wait a second. That lightning bolt is a classic MK Ultra symbol. Classic. David Bowie, Lady Gaga, all of them. The lightning bolt is a very consistent symbol.
Yeah, Elvis didn't come up with that. Somebody made it for him. And
Of course.
you know what? God damn it.
Look at C. The C is Charlie.
You know
Charlie
who-
is on the freaking lightning bolt.
Do you know who invented the freaking TCB logo?
Ew.
Charlie.
Charlie Hodge.
Get the
Look at the C on the lightning bolt, Jeff. Look at it. Turn it around.
turn it around.
I know what it looks like, Heidi.
He knows what
All right. Well, Charlie
I have
wasn't
a
what you guys
TCB.
thought.
I have a TCB tattoo on my ass. I don't really. Charlie Hodge invented the TCB logo.
Oh,
Jenny, you're telling me that's an MK Ultra lightning bolt?
it absolutely is.
And I was joking. I was just kidding around.
Of course it is the light because it's electroshock. Okay, it's
Yeah.
the electroshock. It's a very classical. It's even old timey.
Guess where? Fuck. I'm sorry. Did I just say that on air? Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's appropriate.
It is because Elvis is so happy right now. I can
You know
feel
when
it.
Elvis and Charlie got tight? In the Army.
Oh, well, there we go. You should have said that for minute one. I could have told you that. Oh, God. Come on, guys. This is
Was Elvis murdered? Yes. Was Charlie Hodge involved in the death of Elvis? Did Charlie Hodge murder Elvis Presley?
Did he love him?
Did Charlie Hodge love Elvis Presley? Absolutely.
Yeah, there was something there.
You know.
Wow.
Okay, so listen, the military connection is extremely significant because what we know about MK Ultra is the military, they're being enlisted.
Hold on, wait.
Makes them very easy.
Somebody shifted.
There's
again, Heidi.
Somebody said somebody just shape shifted. First of all, none of us are reptilians. Relax, okay?
Oh my God, you people wish. Please kiss my
ass. I know. I wish I was a reptilian just for my own personal benefits because I would be sitting here shape shifting 24/7.
Right, I would do it too.
I would do it. I swear to God, one day I'm gonna just turn them out.
You guys, watch this.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna do it. Go ahead. Oh.
Wow.
There's a process called twinning. Okay. And they utilize this in MK Ultra to connect two people so closely that they work together. They run missions together, objectives together. It's very possible. And it actually feels right to me now between the lightning bolts and everything going on that Elvis and Charlie were twinned. And so that would connect them, but it would also make them kind of hate each other. So there's this competition there that's so fierce and so dominant, but they have a love for it. It's very twisted.
I told you that's what's in the charts, and everybody was laughing at me. Everybody was laughing. Nobody wanted to believe it, but that's exactly what these charts say.
Lord,
maybe that's what Elvis wanted to get out.
Maybe.
And I couldn't believe it. I thought that he wanted people to know that the Graceland people have been very bad. Some of the people that, I thought that Elvis wanted everyone to know that Graceland was really bad to Charlie. Charlie's in the center of the
but that's okay. That's in your chart, Joe.
Is it? What's in my chart?
That you would want to think that. That's how you think. Like you would want to think that. But the truth is,
see the best in people.
Yeah, you do see the best.
This is why, for the first and only time, Coast to Coast said no to me, because it wasn't supposed to go on Coast to Coast. This was supposed to come out that Charlie Hodge killed Elvis.
Yeah, and now it can take it to Coast later, but it's true. Like he needed this to come out this real way.
Wow. Ladies, thank you very much. I don't know what else to say.
That was fun. And I just feel like I just solved a freaking crime and now I have some good karma.
I just don't understand how I could be duped by Charlie. He was amazing.
You want to know why? Are you ready for this? Because his Mars is on your Virgo. He was deceptive.
Very convincing.
Yes.
A lot of people.
He had everybody fooled. That man, besides him liking animals and music, he was completely. So I think he had like this pure heart in a way. But let's just say this. I have Moon in Revity, but then I have a completely different side. So and he's got like craziness going on in that chart. So yeah.
I'll finish with this. Charlie and my buddy Gary were tight like this. I was just there listening, but Gary got some offers from Nashville for a recording contract, and he was going to stay with Charlie because they were touring together. And they were starting to get really, really close. They were going to live together. As I hope they weren't getting too close. Heidi, you got me thinking now. But before they could get really close, Charlie told Gary to leave and go to Nashville because Gary was getting too close to the truth.
Oh my goodness. Look at that now. Listen, the truth is stranger than fiction, and often it's ugly, ugly, ugly.
But we're good at that.
I can't say thank you enough, ladies. It was amazing. And
thanks to Elvis for letting us, honestly, because that's an honor.
You almost feel like, Heidi, it almost feels like he guided us through this.
I agree. He did. It was so easy.
Did you feel that, Jenny?
I did. And all three of us used our own tools of
all three tools.
Divination or whatever you want to call it. And I think that's great. I'm going to light a candle for Elvis this evening in his memory.
What's up with this? Somebody says that was so awesome, ladies. Am I not sitting here?
Yeah, you had your sticks out. I love those.
Rods.
I did not think that. I was getting nervous. That's like the tarot, you know. I get nervous about tarot and the rods because my facts are my own facts, and if I can, but those like we had 3 proofs.
I have a bunch of questions for the rods.
I know, don't we?
Yeah, seriously, I'm like.
Well, let's do a show where we all 3 do our divinations.
No, like personal questions that I don't want anybody to know.
Oh, okay. Well, we can hook up, Jenny. I owe you that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
And if we ever do I said this to Heidi, if we ever do all get in the same locality that we won't disclose, we should do a live show, maybe a mini event together. That would be awesome.
That would be fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's another reason for you to come to Florida, Heidi.
Exactly. Jenny Moonstone, Heidi Vandenberg. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. We salute all of you that are seeking truth. Thank you, Elvis. Thank you, everyone here. And wow, that's all I can say about this is wow. Thank you, ladies. And
are you going to just end it? Or are you going to end it and then just we talk for a second?
How do I do that?
You just go to the top YouTube and then hit stop the live stream.
So I just leave this running and stop the YouTube stream.
Yeah, so hit the stop the stream.
Okay, where it says, where does it say?
All the way at the top, like where we're looking at each other. It's at the top where it says live on YouTube.
It says live and you want to change that.
Oh, so if I click on live, will it change? Do I right click it?
Yeah, but you should look at the screen. I think, right?
It won't turn. I don't see any way to turn it
on. So look directly at your computer screen.
Okay.
Okay. Do you see where it says live on YouTube and there's a little arrow?
I'm dying. I'm seriously dying.
Oh, we talking about the Zoom screen or the YouTube? Oh, there it is up there. Stop live stream, right?
Yeah, that's